Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Pound and I am back with the very last video for chapter 1.2 about cells. Today's topic is going to be about cell growth and reproduction. So our objectives today are going to be to distinguish between mitosis and meiosis and explain how cells without a nucleus reproduce. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is that a unicellular organism can never grow large because it would not be able to sustain itself. And the reason being is because diffusion would not work across large distances. Diffusion happens very slowly, as you saw in the water. As when I had the ammonia out, I don't even know that I had it out long enough that it really started to spread through the room. So it actually is a very slow process and it would not work very well over large distances. Now let's get into talking about how living things reproduce. Okay, and one way that living things reproduce is through binary fission. This is the cell division process in which one cell splits into two identical cells, each having a complete set of DNA. This is how a cell without a nucleus reproduces using binary fission. So bacteria use this because bacteria generally do not have a nucleus, so they will use binary fission. There's also a process called mitosis. This is the cell division process in which each daughter cell receives an identical copy of the parent cell's chromosomes. This is when they have a nucleus. Two identical daughter cells are produced by the duplication and division of the chromosomes. Now, if it's a single-celled organism, this could be the way that they reproduce. This is also the way that all of the cells in our bodies were produced, by dividing but then staying stuck together. Okay, and so we started with one cell which divided into two, two became four, four became eight, and so on and so forth. The phases of mitosis are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase, and we will take a closer look at these phases in class. But prophase is where we actually start to see the chromosomes. They come together. Metaphase is where they line up in the middle of the nucleus. Anaphase, they actually separate. And telophase is when they're at opposite ends of the newly forming cells. So they have moved to where the cell that they're going to be in. So those are the phases of mitosis. There's also the process called meiosis. Now this is where the cell division process that forms sex cells that contain half the usual number of chromosomes. Now, how are we going to distinguish between mitosis and meiosis? If you notice, meiosis has an O in it that looks kind of like an egg, so you can remember that. I also remember that mitosis makes my toes because it has the T in it. Meiosis makes eggs with the O. This reduces the number of chromosome sets by exactly 1/2 in each new cell. This is really important because this forms what we call the sex cells, sperm and egg, and if it did not do this, each time a new organism is produced, sexually, there would be twice as many chromosomes each time, which would not be good for most organisms. And this process happens by one duplication of the chromosomes followed by two consecutive divisions. And again, we'll take a closer look at that in class. And it actually forms 4 sex cells. It forms 4 egg cells, it forms 4 sperm cells. Now with the egg cells, there's one egg cell produced, but what are called 3 polar bodies that are not viable, that are not usable. So, but 4 cells are produced from this instead of just 2 like mitosis. So our objectives were to distinguish between mitosis and meiosis and explain how cells without a nucleus reproduce. Don't forget your 5 questions in the margin and keep watching for the questions at the end of the video.